Woo! Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Boy, if you guys have seen, if you could see what I have set up right now in order to do this, you would be amazed. I got all kind of stuff everywhere here, but we're going to try to do this. I'm going to make some content today. Ladies and generals, I want to thank you for clicking on this video and giving me your time and attention. Now, I haven't done this in a while. Honestly, I was gonna do it live, but I got really bad service where I live, and I don't want to risk losing the stream while I'm in the middle of cooking. All right, like I said, this is something new here, but anyway, I just wanted to talk about this topic to you guys. You see the topic, or rather, this title, the marriage business. To be honest, I hate saying it because business is never personal, right? But two people are married. Well, that's a very intimate and personal thing. So it almost seems like a contradiction to say the marriage business, you know? But I mean, hey, channel after channel, chat after chat, I see people saying it that marriage is a business. Well, it always seemed to piss me off too. But so like, whenever I say that, it pisses me off. So like anything that pisses me off, I go straight at it and confront he or she, or in this case, it. All right. Is marriage really considered a business? Well, well, yes, it is, and I'm in it. I'm in the marriage business, and if you're listening to me right now, watching me, you must be in one too. Hopefully you're not, because this show is meant to be a solution or to help you do it right if and when you ever decide to start a family. Because that's what it's for, people. Building a family, all right? And when you perceive it to be like that, saying marriage is a business, it like totally deflates that royal feeling to me, all right? It just seems to eliminate what I cherish about marriage, which is the sanctity of it all. But for this show, marriage is indeed a business, all right? It's a business partnership with 50-50 shares and requires 100% effort from both parties, all right? See, I had to realize that regardless of how I prefer to see my marriage, our legal system literally forces it to be a business partnership. It's very much like a small business. See, married couples, man, we gotta manage money. We gotta make joint decisions. I mean, we gotta communicate about all kind of day-to-day issues, right? And when you get a marriage license or form a business, you literally create a new legal relationship, all right? So let me pause for a second and drink some water, because I gotta confess, y'all, I'm kind of overwhelmed with the negative perception about all this. Because when it comes to marriage, very few of y'all seem to love it. A lot of you seem to hate it, or it scares the shit out of you. And mostly everyone falls into that last category. So, but hopefully I can change that today with this simplistic breakdown on the Ebo Sosa show. See, you got to think about this as a business merger, okay? A business merger between two people. In any business merger, it's expected to fully examine the other business's history, direction, and pretty much any other influencing factor that may affect both companies before they agree to anything. And when speaking of relationships, the same principle can and must be applied. All right? Because, man, marriage is expensive. It can be loaded with all kind of potential problems if all things ain't taken into account. All things meaning, families, careers, kids, future goals, money. I mean, the list goes on, man. I mean, see, this is why it's important to know exactly why you want to get married and what you expect from it. Because everyone's vision of happily ever after is different, all right? And finding somebody who shares your vision will only strengthen the merger, okay? Now, there is a such thing as going overboard with the list of wants and expectations and becoming, way too focused on the details, especially in relationships, right? But see, the problem is nowadays, people don't seem to get the fact that although marriage is a business, it is not a business transaction, okay? If you want a marriage that supports you and your spouse as individuals while also enhancing your relationship, you need to know the difference between transacting and interacting with each other. You might want to ponder that right there, all right? Because to be honest with you, what I've noticed, man, too often couples are advised to create transactional marriages, right? Transactional marriages, that's when your marriage's foundation is literally built on the notion that you satisfy my needs and I satisfy yours, all right? Now, that notion of transaction comes from the business world, of course, where people do things for each other with the expectations of reciprocation. For example, in a marriage, a husband might help out by vacuuming the floor or washing the dishes, and the wife might help out by taking out the trash. These roles are usually reversed. See, this kind of unwritten agreement leads to partners keeping this like mental running tally of who's done what for whom. And this kind of unspoken rule usually fosters anger and resentment. In business transactions, the focus is on making the sale, which is often a one-time sale, right? But see, marriages are not one-time interactions. See, we have thousands of interactions over the course of the marriage, and these thousands of interactions become like a game of keeping score, of balancing the books, if you will, all right? If you give too little, you don't satisfy your partner's needs, increasing your indebtedness. And a marriage based on indebtedness builds anger and resentment. Trust me, I know it. In the end, someone's going to end up feeling like they could have struck a better deal with someone else, even if that someone else is themselves. Ooh, I'm hungry. You dig what I'm saying? I hope y'all don't hear my stomach growling in this microphone. But anyway, check this out, y'all. In happy marriages, partners find a way to share tasks and feel good about their partners and their relationships. All right? But there really doesn't seem to be an easy way to talk about interactions as a way to accomplish the household tasks or make career decisions or, decide about children and make sex work, etc., etc. So how do we do it? How do we prevent this transactional marriage? Well, I'll tell you. I'm going to try to tell you, the main thing you need to do in order to succeed in the marriage business. All right? Let me see here. Let me take a sip of this water. Here we go, y'all. Check this out. Determine your most crucial must-haves in order to make a marriage work. Okay? And remember, no one's absolutely perfect, so don't sweat the things that can be changed into something for better or for worse, like her figure or his physique, okay? And most importantly, lay everything out on the table See, that's what's going to solidify your trust in each other. Everything. Now, and be clear and concise communication. See, that's a huge factor in any business deal and in a marriage. See, this is where both parties makes their wants and expectations known to each other. And I believe in doing so, both parties become aware of what they're getting into if they decide to go through with the merger. Okay? Now, I think when considering marriage, this actually is the part where things kind of get a little hazy. Because, I mean, let's face it, everybody ain't great at communication. And some of you niggas are way too afraid of what's going to happen, what your woman's going to think if everything is laid out there, you know? And by the way, if the latter part of my last sentence plays a big part in the reasoning for you not to be completely open, well, I would really think hard about whether you're ready for a marriage, because for the most part, a lot of communication fails fall into that same old Jerry Springer category. Well, I thought you knew. Nah, man. Look, what I'm about to say should be etched as a monument in your mind if you plan on getting married, all right? Never assume. Be brutally honest and know what the fuck you want and make it known. Because if everything's out in the open, there's less room for miscommunication. All right? Just like in business deals, you have to realize that negotiations must occur. See, this is where both parties are aware of what, they make things aware of what each other wants. And then after that, it's time to reflect on what's being offered to you and if it matches what you're offering. That sounds a bit harsh and practical, but, who the hell wants to be in a marriage where there's only one person busting the ass to make it work? Sound like my first marriage. See, when this happens, it's a serious recipe for disaster. When the weight of the relationship falls on one person, it often leads to feeling taken for granted or unappreciated. Now, most successful business owners know when negotiating, weighing your pros and cons and voicing your concerns are the only ways to reach a compromise. Knowing what you want, it really only makes things easier when it comes to determining what you're willing to compromise on and what you can't. Okay? So, know what you want, but don't become solely focused on just yourself, okay? Instead, try to satisfy both of your needs together. And in order to accomplish that, as I said earlier, you gotta lay everything out on the table, man. Everything. After you lay everything out on the table comes signing the contract, okay? See, this is where all terms are agreed upon, all concerns have been addressed, and all compromises have been made, all right? In other words, you get to say, I do, during which cheerful couples refer to as the happiest days of their lives. Look, man, y'all, please listen to me today. There is absolutely no foolproof plan for a successful marriage, okay? Everyone is different, as is every relationship. But knowing each other's expectations of a marriage from the very beginning can only help. Now, there's something I haven't mentioned yet, a special ingredient involved in marriage, which is love. And I haven't mentioned that for a reason, but yes, love plays a big part in all of this because no one wants to be in a loveless marriage. But the key point in this video today is to view marriage from a business standpoint. And when you do this, you're able to put your love aside and be honest and matter of fact about everything else. Speaking of love, my personal definition of love is an extreme passionate devotion to preserve a thing. And I feel this is greatly lacking in these days and times, but I really don't feel like going into all that, you know. I just I'm doing this I wish to enable you to understand what's required to maintain a healthy love, marriage, business between you and your woman. And get y'all out of this crippling fear that I keep seeing that's preventing our people from developing healthy, productive families. You know? Let me take another sip of this water. I feel like my lips are drying up right before your eyes. I was listening to Dr. Ray Hagen's, and he really enlightened me to this topic. He enlightened me as to why most marriage businesses fail. I'm going to try to break down what he said. But in order to do that, I'm going to need you to follow an analogy, okay? Because it's a bit deep. Okay. Those of you who are familiar with my channel, you know that I'm a professional driver who lives in California. Now, in order for me to have this profession, I had to acquire what's called a Class A or a commercial driver's license, a Class A CDL for short. California Class A holders, well, we can decide whether we want our license to be what's called an intrastate license or an interstate license. All right. And to give a short explanation of the difference between the interstate and the intrastate, well, the interstate license means you're going across state or country borders for your loads. And the intrastate means you can only haul in one state. Okay. Now, these two words I want you to pay attention to, inter and intra, because they can also be applied to one's personal relationship. You understand? The main reason why people don't experience success in their inter and intra personal relationships is because they don't know their own, nor do they know their partner's temperament needs, okay? How well people get along with each other depends on two things, all right? The first is how well they know their own temperament needs, okay? The second is how willing they are to meet each other's temperament needs, okay? All right. A minute ago, I mentioned knowing your inter and intra personal needs, right? Well, what exactly is the difference between those personal needs? Now, let's go back to that trucker's terminology I just said. The interstate means you're hauling to other states, remember? And, yes. So the interpersonal relationship has to do with how you relate to other people. Okay? You can tie it together. So now, do you remember what the intra-state license was? All right? It means you can only haul in the state you live in. So intrapersonal relationship has to do with how you relate to yourself. Okay? See, a lot of people, they have messed up interpersonal relationships because their intrapersonal relationship is all screwed up. Okay? And in order to break this down, we have to understand the building blocks of knowing yourself. All right? Now, this is real critical in having a decent, healthy relationship. So it's probably the most important thing. All right? So let's start off with the base building block, which is your temperament. All right? Your temperament is inborn, which means it happens when you're being formed in the womb, all right? Your temperament literally takes place while you're being formed inside your mama's womb, all right? It's created by the way of the genetic material. This is why they say this is why it's stressed so much that when a woman is pregnant, she needs to be at peace as much as possible. The reason for that is because when she's not at peace, all the negative energy is transferred through her body to that unborn fetus. And just quite honestly, the reason why a lot of these people out here that came out so damn crazy. You know what I'm saying? Bitter and angry. Maybe your mama was mad because she felt abandoned or something, you know? And so you came out pissed off, you know? So anyway, so you get the point. Pregnant women got to be at peace as much as possible. All right, cool. The second building block is what's called man-environment affected. This is when you begin to establish what's known as your character, okay? So your temperament begins while you're in the womb. Your character begins when you leave the womb and enter into the environment. Now, it's the learned behavioral patterns from within that environment which help determine your character, okay? Y'all still out there paying attention? Hope so, because I don't know where the camera is. I got a rig out here that y'all wouldn't believe. Okay. Anyway, let me continue, man. All right, Ebo. What do you mean by learned behavior patterns? Example. When a baby's born, they don't know nothing about being hugged or cuddled. But when a baby starts to cry, what happens? You pick it up. You know, you change your tone. Oh, baby, what's wrong with you, baby? Oh, what's wrong? You cuddle it, you bounce it, you check if it's hungry, check if it's thirsty, or it needs to be changed. You might have shit it in a diaper or something. You know, I used to put mine on my chest and sing to mine. Anyway, the baby is now experiencing, even at that young age, something from their environment that's establishing a learned behavior. And if you do that often enough, that child's going to understand that they're going to get picked up or tended to or sang to, you know, or fed or whatever, you know. That's called learned behavior, okay? Another example of learned behavior is when you see these young 10, 11-year-old girls twerking and cussing and shit. You know, they probably learned it from their strag-ass mama or some raggedy auntie or something, you know, or some fast cousin. You know, or better yet, the 15-year-old white boy who hates black people, but he ain't never seen nor been around one. Again, these are examples of learned behavior, your character development, okay? Now, what's important about these two things, your inborn temperament and your learned behavior or your character, these two things are the real you, all right? They're the real you. Now, I want to tell you something that's real important that you think is you, which is called self-selected personality. And this is called the mask, okay? So the first two things is the real you. This third thing is what you think is you, or what other people think is you. Now, why is this? Because this is self-selected, as I said. It's the personality, the quality in you that you show the world around you, okay? The part of the world that you want the world to see, all right? When you meet someone, they don't see the first two. They see this one, okay? This is what you use to impress people with, all right? The self-selected personality. It's the self-selected personality or the mask that you wear when you go for a job interview. Yeah. It's also what gets hired. But it's the real you that gets fired, okay? See, when you meet someone, you show them your self-selected personality or your mask. And you let them see yours too, all right? You keep it on. Especially to the point to where they're so blown away, so in love with that mask that guess what they do? They ask the mask, will you marry me? But see, it's the mask that gets proposed to and married, y'all. But it's the real you that ends up getting divorced. You see how this goes? Man, the problem is that so many people live in that mask so much that they honestly think that's how they are. But it's not. All right? They've been wearing that mask for so long that they don't know how to be anything else. All right? They've had it on for so long that if they took that mask off, there wouldn't be anybody there. It's crazy. It's crazy. You've been living in that mask, living for your hood, trying to please other people, trying to fit in, adopting the mannerisms of the crowd. This is wearing the mask, and this is what must come off. Okay? Now, in order to do this, in order for your business, marriage, to work, what did I tell you earlier? You have to lay it all out on the table, man. Clear and concise communication. All right? There's even a saying in marriage that closed mouths don't get fed. See? The same principle can and must be applied to marriage. Hell, even in life, y'all. Even babies know this shit. See, I know what the problem is. The problem is people have forgotten there are steps to developing a healthy relationship. And this is what Higgins was talking about. 5 steps. He said it. There were 5 steps. I'm going to tell them to you and explain them to you. All right? The first step is the acquaintance. The second step is the associate. Okay? The third step is developing a friendship with someone. The fourth step is the step to engagement. And the fifth step is taking the step to marriage. Now, I remember Hagen saying that the goal was not to go through all the steps, because this is actually the conditioning black people have. We think that all roads tend to lead to marriage. No, it's not supposed to be like that. Hell, matter of fact, we only recognize 2 statuses for the most part. You see on Facebook, either you're single or married, and rarely do you see people claim to be engaged nowadays. Anyway, 5 steps: acquaintance, associate, friendship, engagement, and marriage. I bet y'all don't even think about that, do you? So, let me ask y'all something. What's the matter with stopping at the level you realize this can't go any further? All right? See, it's the lack of awareness of these 5 steps that has us messed up, in my opinion. Excuse me. Take a sip of this water. So let's start at step 1. I'm going to define them to you. Step 1, the acquaintance. What is an acquaintance? An acquaintance is a casual, impersonal relationship with someone. Let me say it again and pay attention. An acquaintance is a casual, not intimate, all right? Casual, impersonal, okay? Not personal, impersonal, not sexual, impersonal relationship with someone. All right. Now, what's interesting about that word impersonal is that a synonym for that word is business-like. Kind of ties into this anyway, you see. Anyway, let's move on to the acquaintance. What is an acquaintance? I'm sorry. The associate is the second step. Let's move on. Now, what is an associate? The associate is a companion or partnership based on something in common. All right? Now, as I'm going through these, I want you to identify the people in your life and put them on the correct level in your life, all right? Because The reason I want you to do this is because a lot of times, black people as individuals, we put people on levels that they don't belong. I know I'm guilty of it all the goddamn time, and especially without having enough info about them. You know, that's called being presumptive. Okay, we'll talk more about that on another stream. All right. Anyway, an associate is a companion or partnership or partner based on something in common. In other words, this is a person with whom you've something in common. You might have the same profession. You might like the same music, have the same hobbies or something, And excuse me, when you meet someone you have something in common with, you now become associated with each other. That's why YouTube does the way they think. All the content creators all stuck together. Now, in relationships, when the relationship is at the first step, the acquaintance, there's absolutely nothing saying it should go to the next step. So in order for you to keep your heart and emotions healthy, all right, you have to learn discernment, all right? To discern means to distinguish someone or something with difficult by sight or with other senses. You got to know when the relationship can't go any further, man. All right, you can't go any further than the level that it's on, because when you try to take it any further than it should be, you're gonna only end up in disappointment, despair, and and bitterness, like James Brown used to say it. I'm corny, y'all. I know. Now, the second step is actually where I forged my first marriage from. Okay, we met each other, we liked each other physically, and we both was extremely nasty. So we moved to smashing right out the gate. 3 months later, I was marrying her because the physical attraction was so strong, y'all. Needless to say, I did things backwards. How many of y'all can relate to that? See, I wanted to bet a whole lot of you brothers can relate to that. It's called thinking with the wrong head, Yes. Yes, I did that. Anyway, now let's move on to the third step. The third step is a friend. And this, to me, is the most important level. A friend is someone with whom you've grown to be yourself with. The key word in the definition is grown to be yourself with, okay? Because establishing a friendship takes time. It's something you have to grow to. You understand? See, despite what some people say, you don't meet a person and you're automatically friends. That's not how it works. People who think like that, they don't know how to use proper discernment, okay? They don't know what a friend is. All right, so let me help you understand what a friend is, okay? Have you ever heard a person say, "We're just friends"? I'm sure you have. When a person uses that word "just" to describe their friendship, they don't have a good friendship, all right? You want to know why I say that? Because the word "just" literally diminishes the friendship. It belittles the friendship, okay? Because to me, there's no relationship as important, as powerful, as wonderful, as great as a friend, all right? So check this out, y'all. A friend is someone whom you dare be yourself with. Your soul can be totally naked with a friend. Friend don't want you to be better or worse, When you're with your friend, you're like a prisoner who's been declared innocent. You ain't got to be on guard with your friend. You can say exactly what you think, so as long as it's genuinely you. Because your friend understands all your contradictions and they understand your nature that leads others to misjudge you. You can breathe freely with your friend. You can go to jail. You can confess to your friend. You can pray with your friend. A friend is the most important relationship you can be. And you can actually, you can keep still with your friend. You can cry with your friend. You can sin with your friend. You can laugh with a friend. Pray with a friend. Through it all and underneath, a friend sees and knows and loves you. To me, there's no greater or more important relationship than a friend. And this, y'all, is what you want to marry. Imagine being married to a person that's not your friend. See, this is how my first marriage was. All right. I remember I used to sit down and sorry about the noise, y'all. I used to sit down with my wife and a few other people in the room with us, some associates of ours, and crack a joke. And everyone in the whole damn room would be cracking up laughing. Not her. She'd be sitting there looking stone-faced, y'all. But then let that same joke be told verbatim by somebody who's heard me say it, and she'd crack up laughing. See, that shit hurt. See, that's the importance of being married to your friend, y'all. When a person you're legally living with is not your friend, you in a world of shit, man. Trust me, I know. It really amazes me how many people have twisted perceptions of a mate being a friend. You know, I don't want to mess up a good friendship. No, dummy. That's what you want. Now, oh yeah, the next step. Let's move on to the next step, which is the fourth step in the relationship development process, which is the engagement process, okay? Engagement is the expectation or promise or preparation for marriage. Now, if marriage is not in the plan for you, then honor and exalt the level of friendship. All right? And keep it right there. Keep it right there. Nobody said you got to go any further. See, that's when you mess things up. All right? It's because you've been raised to think that the entire end game to dating is marriage. And that's not true. All right? Too many people walking down the aisle who are not vibrational matches for each other. All right? So see, check this out. If you're going to marry someone, they have to be a vibrational match. All right? I'm going to do another show on that. All right? Yeah. Not just a financial match. Not just an academic match or a social match. I'm talking about a vibrational match. They have to match your frequency for marriage so that it can be harmonious for engagement, okay? Which means I expect, I promise, and I'm prepared to marry this person. All right, that's engagement. Now, of course, the fifth step in the relationship development is marriage, all right? And marriage is the legitimizing of a realized oneness between two people. All right. Now, I got to break this down for y'all. Big time. Okay. Especially if you plan to get married. Because, see, check this out, y'all. You can't actually get married. All right. I know that sounds crazy. You know, what's going on there? What are you talking about? Well, check this out. At the wedding ceremony, there's nothing any officiant can say that will literally make you and your mate married or joined. That doesn't happen at the ceremony. So let's get that clear. That should happen before the ceremony, okay? Because the wedding is just a ceremony to legitimize and announce to the public a realized oneness between two people. See, this is what weddings are for. Not to get married, but to celebrate that you're already joined, okay? Does that make sense to you? No? All right, well, let me use another analogy. A funeral, all right? A funeral is another ceremony, another of the church, all right? Another ceremony ordinance of the church. Now listen, A person doesn't die at a funeral. Nobody attends a funeral of someone and the room is filled with people, and then there's an empty casket laying there in the front, and the minister says, "All rise," and then the dead nigga comes down the aisle and gets into the casket. All right, that's not how this works. Okay, the purpose of a funeral is to be a public announcement of a reality that's already happened. All right. Oh man. So anyway, I want those of you who are listening to me right now to understand how to choose properly so we can preserve our race with the best offspring. The only way to do this is by knowing your temperament type, all right? And knowing your significant other's temperament type, all right? Look into personality tests like the Myers-Briggs personality tests, all right? I think there's an app called Headway that'll determine your personality type. Check that out too. I'm sure there's others out there, but they're designed to systematically elicit information about a person's preference, their interests and emotional makeup and all that good stuff, the style of interacting with people and situations, and go find which one you are, and then learn about the rest so you can find your woman, brother. Or find your man, sister. I think it's time for me to close up shop because I'm running out of shit to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope that I've made some sense. A lot of what I've said come from Ray Hagen's, just breaking down what he said, But I hope what I'm saying to you and passing this information along to you makes a hell of a lot of sense. I feel like I'm all over the place because of how this setup is. Like I said in the beginning of this show, y'all wouldn't believe what I got in front of me in order to make this recording happen. It's crazy. This is literally the definition of Nig Reagan. So anyway, this is Ebo Sosa. I'm signing off. Just wanted to bring you guys some content. Been posting my beats. My beats are going to be briefly here on the Ebo Sosa show, but I am starting up a beat channel for those of you who are interested in my creativity, and I like to make beats for content creators, for your intros and things like that. But I need to talk to you before I do that so I can detect what kind of energy is coming from you, and plus your visuals of your show and everything. That way I can properly tailor it for you. Now, the beat channel is called Less Talk, More Music. I will be making videos on there too. It's just a contradictory title. Less Talk, More Beats, actually. Less Talk, More Beats is the name of my secondary beat channel. Check it out. Give a few listens, give some likes, comments, and share the show if you please. I hope you've enjoyed this. And, if you feel like you want to donate to me or whatever, give some contributions to the messenger, I'd greatly appreciate that as well. You guys have yourselves a blessed day. And I will see you in somebody's chat room or on the next Ebo Sosa show taping. All right? Thank you for tuning in, giving me your precious time and attention. I bid you farewell. Peace.